If you have God as the center of all your actions, then you will reach the goal. The goal is heaven.
The first year that we moved to Duluth, parishioners kept recommending to us that we should hike Ely's Peak. So the first 4 handmaids set out on this trek to find Ely's Peak. And we hadn't really hiked the Superior Hiking Trail very much, but we found the parking lot and made it to this point. And then we got a little confused. We didn't quite know where to go. We didn't know if we should go up that way or this way. And so we actually just kept going through the tunnel. We figured it had to be labeled more clearly, didn't it? We were looking for this big sign of how to get up to Ely's Peak. So we went through the tunnel and kept walking and never saw the sign or never found it. And probably a mile or two later, we realized we most definitely missed Ely's Peak. And you know, it was a muddy day, and so we weren't too disappointed. We thought, well, I don't know if it was really worth it. We got back and more people kept saying, you gotta hike Ely's Peak, you gotta hike Ely's Peak. But we weren't so convinced that we needed to. But as the years went on and we hiked more of the Superior Trail and became more confident, we decided we're gonna try it again today. We feel like it's worth it. We want to know how to find it. We desire to get to the top of the peak and really see what's awaiting us there.
Our desire to conquer Ely's Peak actually teaches us a lot about our journey to heaven. We quickly learned that if we don't know where we're going and we don't have someone to help us, we might not actually find the way.
Getting to know the lives of the saints gives us inspiration and a reason to seek the kingdom of heaven. At the same time, the saints teach us the safe path by which we can reach our eternal goal. God reveals His presence in a real way through the lives of our companions on this earthly journey, especially through the saints who are most like Christ. God speaks to us through them, and we are attracted to the kingdom to which they point us.
When we decided to try and hike Ely's Peak again, we brought with us a good guide. It's really helpful to have someone who can point out the way, who can help us make good decisions. The same is true on our journey to heaven. We need people to point out the way to the Lord for us. We're thankful to have good and holy priests who are able to do that, others in the church who have gone before us, who can help us stay on the narrow path. In order to reach the top of Ely's Peak, we needed a map. We needed a good map, a clear map that showed us where we were going. The church gives us a clear map. The church tells us, this is the way, walk in it. Through the scriptures, through the teachings of the church, through the commandments, through the saints, the church has given us the map, the guide, to show us how to get to heaven.
I remember I was in high school and I was watching Mother Teresa as her life became very public and seeing photos of her and hearing stories about her, and I thought, she loved magnanimously. She loved like I want to love, like I didn't think it was possible to love. And she was really, for me, the first person who became a saint in my life that I thought, I want to be like her. I want to imitate her love.
When we first tried to hike Ely's Peak, we couldn't find the beginning of the path. That's actually really important. Jesus tells us in the Gospels that it's important to enter through the narrow gate, because the other option is the wide road, and that road leads to destruction. Many find that road, but the narrow path is actually the one that leads to life. Jesus tells us that those who find it are few. So it's really important for us to seek with all of our hearts, with all of our minds, to find the right path, to find the path that leads to heaven. That just wandering aimlessly through life isn't necessarily going to get us there.
Wherever there's one saint, there's usually another. Some examples include St. John Paul II and St. Mother Teresa, who lived very recently. Another one could be St. Augustine, who, through the prayers of his mother, became a Catholic priest, and through also the preaching of St. Ambrose. One great thing about the church is that we need each other. Through these examples of these saints, we find this. And so together we can walk with each other and become saints ourselves.
As we began to hike more in the Duluth area, we started to notice these little blue markers on some of the trees and posts and other things. and then started to learn, this is telling me that I'm on the Superior hiking trail. That's super helpful. Really come to depend on those little blue markers. The same thing is true on our journey to heaven. God gives us signs. He gives us indications that we are following him. Sometimes they might not be quite as clear as the little blue markers, but he's given us the church. He's given us the saints. He's given us the commandments, and he's given us our own consciences to help guide us, to help call us back. Am I on the right path? Am I really journeying to heaven? Am I really following the way of life that God has invited me to? And as soon as we realize that we haven't seen those blue markers in a while, we should do whatever we can to get back on the path. Maybe that means we need to go to confession, or we need to spend more time in prayer. We need to reach out to a friend who can help us. But it's really important and essential to get back on the path, to try again.
When I feel closest to the saints is when I'm at Mass, where all of the saints and angels are gathered together with us to worship God in the liturgy. I realize that I'm not alone and that I have countless brothers and sisters who are walking with me on this journey.
The good news is that God deeply desires us to spend eternity with him in heaven. And so he gives us everything that we need to make this journey. He's given us the church to guide us along the way. He's given us the sacraments to sustain us. And he's given us the saints to inspire us and to cheer us on and to show us that this journey to heaven is possible.
When we get to heaven, there's no comparison, there's no jealousy. When another person enters into the kingdom of heaven, all of the saints look at one another and they look at that person and they say, "Come, increase our joy."
It took us a while to find the right way, but with some help along the way, we made it. And it's worth it. Worth every climb, worth every decision to make it to the top. Eye has not seen, nor ear has heard what God has prepared for those who love him.
So I'm not in this alone. We're in it together, and we're all in the church, reaching and desiring the final destination. The church is like a ship going on these waters. Sometimes they're troubled and rocky, sometimes they're calm, but we are walking together towards the saints.
As Pope Benedict wrote in Spe Salvi, human life is a journey. Towards what destination? How do we find the way? Life is like a voyage on the sea of history, often dark and stormy, a voyage in which we watch for the stars that indicate the route. The true stars of our life are the people who have lived good lives. They are lights of hope. Certainly Jesus Christ is the true light, the sun that has risen above all the shadows of history. But to reach him, we also need lights close by, people who shine with his light and so guide us along our way. Who more than Mary could be a star of hope for us?
When we think about being a saint, it might seem overwhelming, or that it's impossible for us, or that being a saint would be a boring life. But the truth is that each of us is called to be a saint. We're created for greatness, and it's actually the fullest form of life that we could imagine. It's full of adventure and authentic love and deep friendships. And so to be a saint is truly an adventurous, heroic life.
Therefore, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us also lay aside every weight and sin which clings to us so closely, and let us run with perseverance the race that is set before us, looking to Jesus, the pioneer and perfecter of our faith.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, our Mother, teach us to believe, to hope, to love with you. Show us the way to his kingdom. Star of the sea, shine upon us and guide us on our way.